Okay, so let's dive deep into Ghost of Yotei. Sucker Punch's big follow-up. Everyone's asking, what's the absolute best way to play this, especially if you're choosing between the base PS5 and, well, the PS5 Pro.
Right, and it's tricky because Sucker Punch didn't make it simple. They gave you, 4 different graphics settings? You've got quality, performance, standard ray tracing, and then this ray tracing pro mode just for the Pro console. So our mission today really is to cut through that confusion, help you figure out which sacrifice is worth making frames or fancy visuals. But let's be clear up front, it's an exceptionally pretty game, however you slice it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's start with the baseline, maybe. The 30 frames per second options. There's quality mode first. That one targets a traditional 4K resolution, on both consoles. It's got the standard make it look good setting.
Exactly. But what's interesting is the other 30 FPS mode, the standard ray tracing one, that's also available on both consoles. And it's also capped at 30 frames. It's really just about adding those nicer lighting touches, softer shadows, better reflections. But to actually do that ray tracing, both consoles take a resolution hit. The base PS5 dips to around 1440p. The Pro manages a bit higher, but the focus for both there is purely on those subtle visual upgrades, not raw pixel count.
Gotcha. Okay, now for the speed demons. Let's talk 60 FPS. Performance mode. This is where that difference between the base PS5 and the Pro really starts to show.
Yeah, it's stark. If you want that super smooth 60 FPS for combat and movement, you flick on performance mode. And, well, this is where the base PS5 really has to compromise. To keep that 60 FPS locked, the resolution tanks, like minimum 1080p.
Wow, 1080p. That feels like a pretty big step down for a modern game on PS5.
It is. You definitely notice the clarity loss, especially if you're playing on a bigger TV. It hits the frame rate target, but visually it's a trade-off.
So how does the PS5 Pro handle performance mode then? What's the upgrade get you there?
Well, the Pro also hits that solid 60 FPS target, but it uses its extra power to keep the resolution much higher. We're talking 1780p.
Okay, 1780p versus 1080p. That's a massive difference.
Exactly. That resolution gap at the same perfect 60 FPS. That's the main argument for the Pro if smooth gameplay is your absolute top priority.
But then there's the real showstopper, the PS5 Pro exclusive mode, Ray Tracing Pro.
That's the one. This is the technical nugget, really, only on the Pro. And it manages to keep ray tracing enabled while using PSSR.
PSSR, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. The upscaling tech.
Precisely. And understanding PSSR is key here. It lets the Pro handle all those complex ray trace lighting effects, but it renders internally at a lower resolution, somewhere around 1080p actually, and then uses that smart PSSR upscaling to reconstruct a really sharp final image.
So it's not brute forcing a high native resolution with ray tracing. It's using reconstruction.
You got it. This is arguably the true next-gen mode. It prioritizes complex lighting, reflections in water, the way smoke and fire look during stealth or exploring the open world. It makes those environments just pop.
And I guess that advanced lighting helps with the cinematic stuff too, like close-ups on characters during cutscenes, makes faces look more real.
Absolutely. It's less about just seeing textures and more about how light plays across surfaces, across faces. It adds atmosphere, makes the whole island feel more intense, especially when you hear those lines like, "He owns this island for now," or the combat shouts, "You can leave the bones when I'm done." It just grounds everything.
Okay, so boiling it all down for someone trying to decide. The choice seems to be high frame rate smoothness, which you get with performance mode, and it looks way better on the Pro at 1780p compared to the base PS5's 1080p.
Right.
Or you go for the cutting edge visuals with the Ray Tracing Pro mode, exclusive to the Pro, which uses PSSR for those advanced effects, but relies on upscaling.
Yeah, that's the core decision. And, connecting that to the bigger picture, the fact that the flagship visual mode, Ray Tracing Pro, leans so heavily on PSSR upscaling, well, it's telling. Kind of leaves you with a question to think about. What does this reliance on advanced reconstruction and upscaling signal about where console gaming is headed? Are we shifting focus permanently away from raw native resolution towards achieving these more complex visual effects by any means necessary? Something to mull over.